Yo, what is going on, guys? We are back today for another video, back for the tier list. Now, we did the defensive tier list, now it is time for the offensive tier list. And, since the last one, I actually, in making this new one, I went back to watch my old video, and I read through all the comments, every single one. There's like over 500 comments, just a ton. I didn't read like every thread, but I read like every individual comment, and I took a lot of the feedback that you guys gave on that and applied it to this new tier list. So we got a lot of new additions. We got 5 brand new champions added to the list since the last one. Made a lot of promotions and demotions based on your guys' feedback. And so a lot has changed. So we're gonna jump in here. A couple disclaimers. This is all my opinion. And if you have a differentiating opinion, that's cool. You can go ahead and tell me in the comments if you think something should be changed. But let's just keep it civil. Let's be respectful. Because that was one of the things on the last tier list. There's a lot of negative comments. And, I just don't need that, man. I really don't. It's not necessary. It's really not, and that's not the way to get your point across. The way to get your point across is with facts and evidence and not talking in a jerk-like manner, talking in a respectful manner with evidence. That is how you create change. So there's a couple of champions cut off here as well at the bottom there because the God tier and Almighty tier are quite long. So the tiers are Beyond God tier, Triple S, Above God tier, SS, and God tier S. So I changed these a little bit because there's some confusion. People saying this champion should be God tier, and it's like the Triple S, which is like insanely strong, SS pretty strong, S high tier. These all stay the same. It was just the actual name of them. So like the S tier was the Almighty tier before, and the champion in there. So changing this column to God tier, hopefully that just alleviates a little bit of confusion, because I do think all these champions are God tier. And a lot of people give me flack for saying a lot of new champions are God tier. I say that, in the CCP videos and stuff like that. You're like, oh, you're just hyping them up, and I get a flack for that. But it's like, man, most of the new champions that we get are God tier because they have to be. Kabam has to be making God tier level champions, and this is the metric that I'm measuring God tier by. These champions. It's not that hard to be a God tier in 2020 as a new champion, and it's harder to not be a God tier because Kabam wants to make good champions that are alluring to people, so they spend their money. Because if they make champions that are bad, they're not going to make that much money on the cav crystals. So when I say God tier, this is the metric that I'm measuring that standard by. Then we get to Above God tier and Beyond God tier, and that's when it really steps up. But enough about all that. Let's talk about some actual champions. So we got 5 new champions. So first off, we have Wolverine Weapon X. So I actually forgot to add this guy to the last tier list, but he is landing in the Above God tier category. So Wolverine Weapon X, man, I have him as a 6-star rank 3, and I think he is really good. I made a video a couple weeks ago on him, showing his immunity to Spectre and showing his synergy with Heimdall, just how crazy it is. It's a really awesome combination. Really big fan of Weapon X, and he can do some pretty crazy stuff. I've soloed Invisible Woman in Abyss with him, which not very many champions can say that they've done. I think he's really good. I think he's pretty underrated, and also he's just an insane defender, which is nice. Just on top of everything, but being an insane defender is good for you on offense. Because if you slip up, he's very forgiving. He can be extremely forgiving, especially if you have Heimdall on the team. You can heal from nothing to full. So yeah, Wolverine Weapon X, solid admission in the Above God tier. And then we had 4 new champions that recently came out. So let's talk about the Mystics first. So we had Tigra and SSquatch. So these two are both landing in the God tier category. Now, Tigra, let's talk about her first because she came out first. So Tigra, I think she's one of those champions that it really is going to take some time to really know her value in this game. It's because, I compare her to champions such as Quake and Ghost, who are now in this Beyond God tier category and regarded as the 2 best characters in the game by a lot of people. But, when Ghost first came out, Pete was really the one who showed everyone how good she was. But, back then, like when she first came out, people were very much so sleeping on her. Like when she first came out, people would have put her in a much lower tier, and Quake for years wasn't regarded as this good of a champion. Only in like the recent, I'd say last 2 years, she's really started to get a lot more recognition, and really started and the reasons for these, these characters, you need to learn their playstyle, because once you can master their playstyle, you can just take the champion to a whole new level. There's new levels the more you master that playstyle, and it's more applicable in more areas. And I think that's the way Tigra is going to be. Right now, she's good. She's got some good stuff. I don't think she is a top 5 Mystic champ at all, as far as regular Mystic abilities go. But I feel like if people can really master her style and just really take her to that next level, I definitely could see some promotions for that, like perfect play on Tigra. And I'm very interested to see more of her in the next year or so. Really hope to see some people really like just stick to her and really like learn and create like a crazy play style for her, because that'd be really cool. Maybe I'll do that one day if I pull her, maybe dedicate some time and really put into Tigra to see if she can be a better champion than I think she's right now. But solid God tier. Then we have SSquatch, who also lands in the God tier category. Now SSquatch, again, I don't think he's that comparable to some of the really top Mystic champions. He's cool. He's got the biggest health pool in the game, which is nice. He's very thick. He got some alright immunities. He's got some really good burst damage with his special too, if you can build it up with the ruptures and everything like that. But I just don't see him being on the same level as some of these other Mystic champions that can just do a lot more, in my opinion, and just cover more ground and are just better champions overall. But both of them are good additions to the Mystic class and land in the God tier category. So we got 2 other champions that we got to talk about, and then we'll talk about some promotions and demotions that I made. So next up here we have Hitmonkey. So Hitmonkey is landing in the Beyond God tier category. Now this might be a biased opinion because I have Hitmonkey as a 6-star rank 3 and used a skill Awaken Gem on him and everything like that. So if you want to call this a biased opinion, yeah, that's all right. I do think Hitmonkey is worth it though. I think he's an extremely good champion, and I think he's very comparable to Corvus. He is the real skill Corvus. I don't think he is better than Corvus. I think Corvus has some more utility, but damage output wise, Hitmonkey can definitely contend with Corvus. And the really cool thing about Hitmonkey when you're comparing him to Corvus, again, I'm not saying he's better than Corvus. I think Corvus is better of the two, but when you're comparing them, with Corvus, there's limitations to him. First of all, you have to get charges. Now, this can be countered by Kabam and other players, and we've seen it happen. Kabam just won't put Corvus charges in a quest, or they won't put them right away in a quest or on certain paths. In Alliance War defense, the opponents create the map, so they can place an entire defense with no charges, but that probably won't happen. But they can hide charges, put them in unideal locations. Try to make traps for Corvus, so people think, oh, you can get a charge here, and then you die. And this was extremely common on the old Alliance War map. There was a bunch of Corvus traps, like with Sabretooth on certain nodes, people trying to get charged with their Corvus and everything like that. So, that's annoying, that's tedious. The first thing, you have to win fights to get your charges, right? And then once you get those charges, you only get 20 basic critical hits, and then it goes on cooldown and you can't crit for a while. So those are Corvus's limitations. Hitmonkey, he doesn't have to deal with any of that. No ramp up, no build up required. You take him in his first fight, he's good to go. No burst damage, then you gotta wait. It's infinite guaranteed crits. The man can crit forever. 3-hit combos, boom, 100% guaranteed crits. Just throw a special 2 right after, guaranteed crits. So I just like that. There's no ramp up involved, and there's no longevity limitations on him. He's good for long fights. So that's what I really like about Hitmonkey, and that's why I think he deserves this Beyond God tier stat in the Triple S tier with the likes of Nick Fury and Aegon. Definitely don't think he's better than Nick Fury. I do think he's better than Aegon outside of Labyrinth and Abyss. But yeah, that's Hitmonkey in the Beyond God tier Triple S tier tier. So yeah, that's Hitmonkey. And then we have another champion placing in the Beyond God tier, triple S category here with Guardian. So Guardian, I love him. Absolutely love him. Again, this might be a little bit biased because he's Canadian and he's the coolest looking character in the game. If this was a popularity contest for his costumes and everything, he'd be number one. But I do think he's Beyond God tier, and I think he is definitely top 4 tech champs in the game. 100%. I think he is very comparable to Guillotine 2099. I think Warlock and Ghost. I think Ghost number 1, Warlock number 2, and then Guillotine and Guardian. And it really depends, the content for which one. Guillotine, it has a robot, so that's nice, and she's really good for like Labyrinth. So if it's there, definitely her over Guardian. But I find Guardian a lot more practical than Guillotine. And you might be thinking, did you just use Guardian and practical in the same sentence? Like you have to 500 hits to really do crazy damage, and that's playing Guardian in an extremely tedious way. Like you would not be playing Guardian like that in like Alliance War, and you don't need to play him like that. 'Cause you don't need that much crazy damage up. Like 1, 2 L3s. And then your L2 is going to just nuke down whatever's in your way in like Alliance War. So I think Guardian a lot more practical for stuff like Alliance War, maybe even Alliance Quest. The man has so much utility. Like Guardian, there's not many downsides to him. That's what I love about him. His only real weakness is shock immune opponents. As long as the opponent isn't shock immune, you're going to be fine. And there's just so much that he can do, man. His energy resistance is the highest in the game. You get like pseudo immunities to cold snap, shock, incinerate, debuffs. You can actually heal from willpower. You're essentially immune to like limbo. There's so much utility in Guardian. He also gives a fat block proficiency chance to an entire team just by having him there. So that's like a silent buff to champions like Obsidian, just having him on the team is going to help a lot. Like in Alliance War, could help with Quake if you want to play parry style Quake, Just Guardian, man, there's so many upsides to him, so little downsides. I think he's just such a good champion, man. Especially if you can get him all the way up to signature level 200. And that is literally why I'm saving all my 6-star shards for his featured 6-star crystal, so I can just go hard and try to get him, because I really think he is worth it. So definitely lands in the Beyond God tier for me. And so that's the 5 characters that weren't on the last list that are now on this list. Now let's talk about some promotions and demotions that we made. So on the last list, I definitely made a mistake putting Mojo in the Beyond God tier and not Clairvoyance. That was a big mistake. I made that decision based on a lot of what I've been hearing. I played a rank 3 Mojo for the CCP, and it was amazing. One of the most powerful rank 3s that I've played. So using the logic behind that and hearing and I heard a lot of good things from other people. So applying what I already thought about playing him as a rank 3, thinking as a rank 5 he's gonna scale like crazily, but I don't think he scales as crazily as I was imagining. And I think I definitely overhyped Mojo a bit on the last tier list. He's definitely a good champion once you build him up and everything. I just don't think he is on the same. He's not in the same caliber as some of these other Mystic champions. So demoted Mojo and basically switched him for Clairvoyance. Clairvoyant, definitely, I was sleeping on her in for the last little while, but when Clairvoyant first came out, man, I was on that hype train right away. I put up a massive score in Arena to get her. So yeah, I definitely wasn't sleeping on Clairvoyant when she first came out. Just haven't used her in a while, and kind of forgot about her, how good she actually is. She got so many immunities for Mystic Champ, which is quite rare. And she's just a very versatile champion. She's really got pretty much everything in that Mystic package. Power control, regen, buff control, really, really good buff control, good damage output, immunities. There's just so many plus sides to Clairvoyant, and especially if you're playing this with the Suicide Masteries. Definitely one of the best Mystic champions in the game. Magic still belongs here, I think. Just her L2 power lock, so readily available and just so good for locking down fights, and her limbo as well. Dr. Doom, Sorcerer Supreme, I think they still deserve their spot here. And then so there's some big changes in the Cosmic and Mutant classes. So the Science class stayed the same. Red Guardian is going to stay in the above god tier. I don't think Red Guardian and She-Hulk, I think they're both really good champions. I just don't think they're on the same, like I said before, they're just not on the same caliber as these other 5 champions. I've seen so much from the other 5 champions that She-Hulk and Red Guardian are both really good. Just don't think they quite stack up compared to the other 5 science champions. So Medusa got a promotion. Venom got a promotion. Did Medusa get one? I think. But a really big promotion here was Hyperion. A lot of people commented on the last video talking about Hyperion, that he deserves to be in Beyond God tier. And yeah, I agree. I don't think Hyperion is better than Corvus or Captain Marvel, but I think he is on that same cosmic level with them. I feel like these 3 are like the top 3 in the cosmic class just easily, and then everyone else is just like a step below them. But yeah, I think Hyperion definitely is up there. My only gripe with Hyperion is the RNG factor in playing him compared to Corvus and Captain Marvel. You know, like Corvus, guaranteed crits. Once you get your charge, you get guaranteed charges, you know, once you do certain stuff. So it's like all guaranteed. There's no luck in playing Corvus Glaive. You know, there's no luck at all in playing him. Captain Marvel, same thing. You know, you build up your binary, you get 5 guaranteed Furies, you get your indestructible, guaranteed. You know, again, no luck. You know, there's luck in like crits with her and stuff, but getting those Furies and everything, there's no RNG involved. I love that. Hyperion, you know, you spam the heavies, you're a slave to RNG. Sometimes you'll get 5 Furies in one heavy. Sometimes you'll get none. Sometimes 3 in a row you get none. It's happened to me. Like that's just my really only problem with him. But I think he does still deserve to be in the Beyond God tier. And yeah, listen to your guys' feedback. You convinced me. I agree. Another champion that a lot of you guys were talking about was Archangel, actually, and Colossus. A lot of people wanted to see them in the Beyond God tier, and yeah, Archangel. My really only problem with Archangel is the fact that, you know, he's so dependent on opponents being bleed and poison immune. You know, like I don't like to put champions that are super dependent, matchup dependent, in the Beyond God tier, because I feel like what makes a Beyond God tier is they're not matchup dependent, not matchup reliant, you know? But you can give kind of some leeway on really, really good champions in specific matchups. And it's not like super duper matchup dependent with Archangel, you know? Like, there's a lot of champions in the game that aren't bleed and poison immune, and he's going to be good for them. And I just think the fact that, you know, it's funny because when Archangel first came out, you know, there's a triple champ month, triple mutant month actually, with Archangel, Iceman, and Psylocke. And at the time, you know, it was Iceman and Archangel, and Psylocke was meh, which still holds true to this day. But it was like everyone debated like who's better, Iceman or Archangel. And at the time, you know, they were very even, because at the time, Iceman was the first triple immune character in the game. It was so good for suicides, everything like that. And at the time, they were pretty equal in how good they are. But as time went on, you know, a lot of people, Archangel really fell under the radar for a long time, probably for like, I want to say like all of 2018. The man was just under the radar and no one really talked about him. And the main reason for that is because of Alliance War. Now, let me explain this. So in Alliance War before, maybe if you're new to the game and you didn't experience the old map, basically how it used to work was everything was hidden. Everything on the map was a question mark, except for the mini bosses and the main boss. And you know, when you would do your path, you would pretty much have to just like assume the worst, and bring a team to deal with the worst champions. Now, the problem with that is you would never see Archangel, because you don't know if your opponent's going to be bleed or poison immune. So like, he's a waste of a team spot because of that, unless you're bringing for like a specific mini boss or boss fight. So Archangel just was not used for an extremely long period of time. But then in Alliance War, they got rid of the hidden nodes, and that was huge because now you can actually know exactly what fights to bring Archangel for. And if you bring an Archangel for a favorable matchup, you know, he's gonna shred it. He's gonna have crazy damage output and like turn off their abilities. So I think that really was when people started talking about Archangel again. Everyone's like, oh yeah, Archangel, he's actually really good. And it's funny to see champions have such a high point and such a low point, and then just come right back up and on top. So yeah, I think the fact that, you know, there's really not many places in the entire game now where like you don't know who you're fighting, so you can always bring Archangel to favorable matchups. So I think yeah, he deserves that Beyond God tier spot. And then Colossus, phenomenal buff to Colossus, man. I was definitely on the Colossus hype train pretty early after his buff. Made a video taking him to rank 4 and just shredded through a bunch of Act 6 stuff and took him to rank 5, and I was flabbergasted at the damage output and everything. The man is an absolute beast. You got a lot of utility with so many immunities. It's a laundry list of immunities, which is awesome to have. And yeah, I think they both make a good addition to the Beyond God tier. And we actually had a demotion with Domino. So Domino, I just don't think she has enough utility to be in the Beyond God tier. She's just so luck based. Really not a fan of that. The RNG on her is so extreme. I'm really not a fan of it. Not really a lot of immunities. So yeah, Domino's really good, above God tier, but I just don't think she's quite on the same level as these other mutants in the Beyond God tier. Same for Sunspot and Havoc. I just don't think they're quite as good as the other champions listed here, especially Omega Red and Namor. I think these two are the best mutants. So yeah, that's the big list of promotions and demotions that we made from the Beyond God tier to the Above God tier. And yeah, I made a lot of other changes just throughout. Not going to go too into depth on some of the other stuff, but yeah, that's really the main stuff. A couple of promotions. We got Black Bolt and Sabretooth now in the God tier due to their new synergies. So that's cool. Yeah, those were a lot of the big changes. So yeah, that's the new tier list, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, if you disagree, it's cool. Again, be respectful in the comments. You want me to change something, again, just tell me why. Give me some evidence. And yeah, there's a very good chance that changes can be made. A lot of changes were made from the last time. And again, when I make my next tier list, I'm gonna read all the comments on this video and take that feedback in and really think about it. So yeah, that's gonna do it. Hope you guys enjoyed. If so, drop a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more content. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.